Well, as promised in some of my other videos, it's accessory video time. I thought I'd show you some of the changes I've made to my Sirrus X Carbon. These accessories could even apply to any of the new Sirrus X range, like the 5, for example, which is the new version of this 2019 Carbon. I've made a couple of modifications to the bike, and I thought I'd take you through them and explain to you the reasons why I've done that. The first thing is I've changed the pedals. I've also changed the bar ends. I've changed the seat post. I've added some simple accessories like a bottle cage, and also a pack on the back for all of my spare tyre levers, things like that. So let me just talk you through each one of those and why I decided these were worthy modifications to make. So the first thing was to change these pedals. The pedals themselves that came with the bike didn't have a large enough footprint for me. I'm a size 11 and they were all actually quite slimmer than I would have liked. So I changed them immediately, and I took some advice from the bike shed in Exeter where I bought the bike, and was told that one of the good things to do would be change them for what was called flats. So I bought these. These are called DMR V12 Flats, and they're nice and wide, so they've got a good size for my foot here. The other thing is as well, they've got these wonderful pins, and I found from using these that I can really get into the hills dragging my feet backwards as if I've got SPDs on without having to have the complexity of being strapped into the pedal. I've always found that to be quite worrying, to be completely honest, and this was a good halfway house. They're really good. They're also serviceable, which a lot of other pedals in a cheaper range are not. And I think they're about £40, but I was really pleased to buy this. So that's DMR V12 Flats, which I really do recommend, especially if you're doing gravel riding, track riding, or if you're just generally in an urban environment and would find the whole idea of being clamped into your pedals a bit worrying. The next thing I did was to add these Sworks Bar Ends. These are really good. They give you that road bike feel with a much wider spread than you'd get from normal standard drop handlebars. The fabulous thing I think about them is that they're so solid, you don't feel any creaking or movement whatsoever from it. And I'm glad I bought these rather than any others. I'm sure they're all relatively the same, I would say, but they're just incredibly good, and they feel very nice on the hand. They're very well sculpted. And also, even though they don't have rubber or anything like that on them whatsoever, they're still incredibly sticky on the hands as well. So work well with gloves, work well without gloves. I'm really happy with those. So it was about £40, I think, for these Sworks Bar Ends, brand new. Okay, drum roll please. This is the major upgrade that I've made, and it's a Redshift Shockstop seat post. Okay, there's quite a lot about this online, and you can look at many videos of how this operates, but essentially it's a suspension seat post that I've actually matched up with a specialised Milano gel saddle. Now, I was having a lot of problems with comfort, I have to say, right at the very beginning. I get to sort of 10, 15 miles and I really would be feeling uncomfortable in the seat. That was with the standard specialised saddle that I got. So after changing saddles and then still encountering the same problems, I thought maybe what I could do with is a suspension seat post that goes alongside, of course, the suspension stem. This is the Future Shock, I think it's the Mark 1 stem. They've released another one now, Mark 2, that looks really good, which has got an adjustable spring suspension inside. And I'm really quite keen on the idea of upgrading that in the future. But the main thing about this is that this takes all of the bumps and all of the nastiness out of road riding, and also accompanies track and gravel riding just as well. Literally, you float over anything like that, and it really does take all of the misery out of the rough ride you get from carbon fibre bikes. Now you can see there's sort of two pins there. There's a section that runs up through, and inside the seat post itself there's a number of springs and an additional spring to increase the tension. Now, if you read a bit about the seat post itself, it does state that depending on the weight you are, you have to add or decrease the amount of spring tension inside. And as you do, you will get a smoother ride. And they recommend that it compresses a little bit as you ride. Well, I don't. I personally found that it was much better to keep this so that it would only compress when I actually came across a nasty rut or a pothole, rather than taking the wind out of me whilst I'm trying to ride up and down steeper hills. Stopping the seat from bobbing up and down, I suppose, is what I wanted to avoid. So I've set the tensions on this seat post to maximum. It's quite good because you've got this flip out plastic cover, and it's magnetic, which is really good. So it just goes in and then it will just snap straight into the back of the seat post there to keep all the dirt out. And inside here, up inside there, you can just about see there's 2 Allen key screws, and you use those to adjust the seat clamp, which is on the top there. So it's nice and easy to set up, and you can just take the seat post off, undo a set of screws, not a set of screws, an adjuster, if you like, underneath the seat post itself, and that will adjust your tension. It's very simple, very straightforward to use. The first time I went out and rode it, I could not believe it. It was like I was floating. It was really something special. Price-wise, it was not cheap. It was just over £200 here in the UK. I bought mine on Amazon, and I think there was only one left at the time when I bought it. But what an upgrade. I thoroughly recommend this. It's the Redshift Shockstop seat post. I do hope I upgrade to the Future Shock 2 shortly as well, because I think there's times as well when I personally believe that I could really do with a little bit more give on the front, and of course that would mean changing springs manually. So let's see what happens in the future. So that's the Shockstop, really incredible upgrade. Now you may, just like me, enjoy having a phone on your bike. I think for the urban environment perhaps it's quite a good idea, especially if you're needing mapping. The other thing is as well is that it's quite good for longer rides as well. We're not really too sure where you're going in the countryside, so I've used it on both. This is the wonderful system that attaches the UltimateAddon iPhone case to the bike itself. It's really straightforward to set up. All you do is you stick the collar around your stem, tighten it up with this. There's some turquoise clips you see under there. You just go in, squeeze these together, and the case will just pop off. Now the case is fully rubber inside, which is very nice, so it's very tactile. You know your phone's not going to fall out there, so when you take it out of your daytime case, so to speak, you know that it's going to be in a safe environment in there. So it's got a lot of shock protection, which is really good. It's also got some other nice features as well, you can see here. So it's got this, which you can take out, so once it's inside the case with the lid shut, you can plug your headphones in and have a conversation with someone without having to take it out of the case itself. It was 60 quid, so it's not the cheapest by any means, but then you are putting a £500 plus phone inside it. I do like the idea of actually spending a bit of money on an accessory like this. It makes sense really, doesn't it? But the great thing is it's nice and clear, and the phone is completely operational through the screen. I'm going to take real good care of it, because the thing I worry about, of course, is just all the thing getting scratched up and looking a bit of a mess. But the good thing is that you can just take it off, stick the phone in your pocket, and all you would leave is this plastic clamp on the bike itself. So it's a very good system, and one I thoroughly recommend. So that's the UltimateAddons iPhone XR, as it happens to be for my phone, a case. So on the right is the original saddle. On the left is a charge saddle that I bought. This is before I bought the Milano saddle, so you can see I've been doing the rounds with saddles. The original Specialized is actually pretty good. I didn't mind it, and I think I went through a bit of complication with the riding position and also the clothing I was wearing before I went over to the other gel saddle. This one here, the charge one, this is pretty good. I think it was about £20–25, something like that. It's nice and streamlined, all the rest of it. But I found overall that neither of these saddles were as good as the Milano saddle that I've got. So I'm keeping them both anyway, just in case there is a time when I can try the other. This is very nice. It feels very smooth and rounded at the back, which is very good. And this is a wider, sort of flatter profile. But the main thing was I ended up with the Milano, which I think works extremely well at adding that additional extra support. One thing, and I want to say this because it really annoyed me, was that when you go and buy bib pants, the bib riding, Lycra, no one ever says to you, oh, by the way, mate, are you riding it with any underwear on? And of course, you'd be thinking, well, yes, of course I am. Well, I was watching the Cycling Network, I think it was, GCN, is it? Something like that. And somebody saying, oh, you need to go commando. as soon as I did, what a difference. Basically, everything was much more comfortable. I could ride for a lot longer without any uncomfortable feeling, and that made a huge thing. So there you go, there's another tip for you. Just make sure you're not wearing any underwear underneath your Lycra. It'll make it a lot more comfortable for a lot longer. On the back of the seat post, I've stuck this small bag. I don't really need to go through much of this. I'm sure you have exactly the same thing. Basically, I've got a little mini pump, I've got a multi-tool, I've even got a backlight in there, and I've also got a spare inner tube and some tyre levers. So that's very good. It's very straightforward to attach. And the other thing I would say is as well, is it works perfectly fine with the Shockstop seat post. So there's no problem having anything attached onto the back of that, even though it is a suspension seat post. I absolutely love these glasses. They're made by bbbcycling.com. I bought them from a local shop to me, Fish Cycles down in Torquay. Absolutely fantastic. I love the things. They're brilliant. I wear them all the time, even when I'm not cycling. But have a look at this. You get 3 different sets of lenses. You get the luminous yellow ones, which I've got no idea what they're for. And of course, these white ones, these clear ones that you can see here. I keep them in these special plastic wraps because I don't want to get them scratched up. But this is great. You can just literally pop the lenses out and stick a clear set for cloudy days. Obviously it's been rather sunny lately, so I've been using the sunshades, and these, I have no idea what they do. Maybe they'll make the world a better place, perhaps on cloudy days. I don't know, but I better find out a bit more about them. But that's BBB Cycling. They were, I think it says they're BSG 58, and they were about £26, I think, overall. Thoroughly recommended. If you haven't got a pair of cycling sunglasses, I really do recommend having a look at their range. I'm not going to spend £150 on a pair of glasses to have them fly off my head or crunched into the door frame of my car while wearing them. £28 is about all I really need to spend on glasses because they do get a bit trash sometimes. So yeah, thoroughly recommend those. They're really, really good. Another question, have I had any other failures, mechanical failures? This was the only thing that was changed, and it was the free hub. Can't even see the free hub, it's behind the cassette. But it was making a rasping sound, and there seemed to be a lot of resistance and friction as I pedalled backwards. I took the bike in for a small service, and the bike shed in Exeter turned around to me and said that they thought it would be best they contacted Specialized because they thought that it might be a good idea to change it, and it was actually changed under warranty, which is really good. Great service overall as usual. The gears, well, everything's perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. This is the NX SRAM or SRAM. I never know which one how to pronounce it. This has been perfectly fine, as has the chain set. Everything's totally okay. I was reading some comments of one of the commenters on one of my other videos where somebody's gone and changed the crank and everything else because they had good access to some components from a bike shop. And I can think the only reason really is weight. Also, I think that chap also changed the wheels for DT Swiss wheels. I think they were 470s or something. Probably a set of wheels at about £400. So it's quite a significant upgrade. I don't really know much about what that would even do, perhaps, other than just give a weight advantage. But I also wanted to say that these tyres have been very good. They're Trigger 738Cs. And if you look at the tread, that's around about 1,000 plus miles on this bike over the last 18 months, I would say. Still in very good shape, I think, overall. Getting a bit smooth at the top there. And if I go round to the front, you can have a look here. That's the equivalent tread loss on the front tyre, which you see is still got quite a bit of tread there. It's really good. So maybe I'd go thinner. I don't know. People have been talking about going to, I think it was 650s or something. But I can't really see that I would do that because I've got quite a mix of urban environments and countryside environments where I live. So yeah, I would buy these again basically if I ended up wearing these out completely. Okay, that's it from me. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe and bell. Oh, I think you're adult enough to work that one out really, aren't you? If you really can be bothered. I think I've gone up 6 subscribers in the last 2 videos that I've made. It's been really good actually. I've had 35,000 on one and 11,000 on the other. Long may that continue, but I'm going to keep making videos about my bike and exciting rides that I have. But if there's one thing I want to say to you, it's go and buy one of these, the Redshift Shockstop seat post. I'm actually going to email them and congratulate them on such an amazing product, but you literally float as if you're on a full suspension bike. So that's it, another update on the Sirrus X Carbon. I'm going to have to say Sirrus X 5.0 as well, because that is the new brother. I hope you enjoyed this and see you soon.